right, great. Sounds good. So we'll go ahead and get started, Casey.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. Well, as Casey mentioned, we are recording this. So for anyone who is coming in late to the webinar, or if you just want to have a rewatch it at your own time, we'll have that recording for you in a recap email in the coming days. But first and foremost, want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join us with this Workamajig integration webinar. We're very excited to introduce this integration that we have here between Workamajig and ourselves here at Bionic. The main feature being that you have the ability to kind of streamline your workflow and automatically have your orders and bills exported from Bionic to Workamajig. So in today's agenda, we're going to go have a format of an overview, just a brief 5 minutes. I just kind of want to show you guys what Bionic and Workamajig look like prior to integration and what it looks like now with integration in place, which I think you'll all find very useful and productive. Then we're going to have Casey do a live demo to actually show you step by step how you can actually export the orders and a bill from Bionic to Workamajig. And then we'll save some room for some Q&A in case anyone has any questions throughout this webinar. And if you have a question at any time, feel free to go ahead and utilize the Q&A icon on your Zoom bar. We'll go ahead and address those questions throughout the webinar. So we encourage participation. So definitely looking forward to that. Before we go into the overview, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Patrick Santiago. I'm the Director of Product Management here. And for those of you who are Bionic customers, I'm sure Casey is very familiar with Casey. Casey Izzo is the Vice President of Customer Success.
Hi.
I do also want to give a warm welcome to David Arnold, who has been working with us in getting this integration launched off the ground. David and his team have been great in getting this integration all together. And I just want to give a warm welcome to David. Thank you for joining us as well. All right, so just want to give you guys a brief overview. Before we had this integration in place, Bionic and Workamajig, two apps, obviously. And essentially, if you have the two applications in your workflow, you would be creating the order in Bionic, you would approve the order in Bionic, and then you would have to go into Workamajig, once again, create the order in Workamajig, double check your orders data, it is accurate in both same systems, and then repeat that for any additional orders and bills. Essentially, there was no link. You would have to basically do double data entry, could potentially leave room for errors, and it was very time consuming, which is why we're very excited to now kind of introduce what we're say is the new way, the integration that we have with Workamajig, which you still create the order in Bionic, approve that order, but this is where the magic happens. You have the automatic export of IOs and bills to Workamajig, creating that link and enabling you to generate orders in Workamajig instantly, eliminating errors and saving you time, which I think it's great to kind of give that contrast of how it was before and how it is today. But I think the best thing here, and I think most of you are here for, is that live demo. So what I like to do, I'd like to pass it over to my colleague Casey, and she's actually going to go ahead and give you guys a live demo of this integration.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, let me go ahead and figure out the screen share here. We'll get this rolling. Great. Is that coming through okay, Pat?
Yep, I see.
Thank you. Great.
Casey, I'm having some sound issues right now.
Oh, okay. Does
Yep,
this
now
better?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yep,
great. Sorry about that. So working with this integration, you're going to be, for those of you who have been working in Bionic, you're going to be doing what you've always been doing. And the nice part of this is things just magically happen. So there's this flow of data between Bionic and Workamajig that, you don't really have to do much. You just go through your normal workflows. And so I'll be going through that today, showing you how this works. Obviously, there is a setup process where you're creating an integration and doing your mapping. I won't bore you with all the pieces of that today, but we'll show you that once that's connected, this is how that process happens. So you're starting with your media plan as you normally would. It has all the moving pieces of what would then go into your orders. From there, once you're ready to move forward, we go into the orders tab. And I've got a couple of orders here in here already. I'm going to go ahead and add an order because I'm going to start working with the fine cooking line items that were in there. I'm going to go ahead and create an order off of that. Now you'll notice when I create that order, it's going to pull all the line items from the media plan into the order, puts it into a draft state where you'll notice these ones are approved. The process for this is exactly as it would normally be in your workflows for order management. Those line items go into this order, and then you review the order, you do whatever you need to do as you normally would, and then you go ahead and approve. So we put in name here, do my signature, and approve this. So no different. Now, magically behind the scenes, this is doing its little communication with Workamajig. So by approving this order, we will basically take these details, transition them over to Workamajig, in which case you'll start that process over there. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this. The other thing I will point out is to actually place this order with the vendor, you would still go through this process here. This approval process is approving it and transitioning it over to, or copying it over into the Workmajig instance. Okay. Does anyone have questions about that so far? I will go over to Workmajig here in a second and we'll take a look at that.
Right now, Casey, I'll say there's no
Nothing.
question at the
Okay.
moment.
Great. Okay, so let's flip on over here. We're going to go under here, click under the media section, and then we click on media plans. Okay, this will give us a list of media plans in here, and we'll go down to our cold weather classics, which is what I was working in for that. Now, in here, it is going to show everything that's been transitioned over. Um, you'll notice the one I was just working on hasn't made it over yet. I will know it does take a minute or two for that communication to occur. So it is not just instantaneous, but it literally should just be a minute or two. I don't want to make you wait in that. So we'll just keep moving along here because I do have some data to work with. This will be like a cooking show. It's all kind of prepared. You'll notice here, I've got a couple of plans in here. So this one here, you'll notice that planned, it has an order amount, invoice amount. This one's been processed. Now this one here has simply been transitioned over into Workamajig. Now what this does is it creates the plan. So you'll notice there's a planned amount of $3,000. There's nothing ordered yet. What we need to do is release the orders here. So we're going to go ahead and do that release. Now it gives you a whole list of stuff, and I've got a lot of data in here, but we will work in this, and I'm going to say Cold Weather Classics 25. So it selects what's available in here. I'm going to go ahead and say generate orders. Okay. Now in that, it did note that that was saved. And so as I go here, you'll notice it has pulled that all over. And actually it did end up carrying over this uh the fine cooking one as well.
Mhm.
Now you'll notice so we've got this 3,000 here has been ordered. Okay. Um so that kind of gets that process going over there. So you now have the orders in Workamajig. Now, working down the kind of life cycle of this process, we come over here, and what we'll notice, hold on, let me just double check which one I was working off of. The cooking light is what I want. So we've got here this cooking light one. I'm going to go in here, and what will happen is we go under this finance tab. So the order has been placed. You get to the point where you're doing your reconciliation. Okay, so it's a little bit down that path a little bit further. What we can then do is, you get the invoice from the vendor. You're coming in here, doing your reconciliation. So we add the bill. Now we had ordered $750 through through that particular service period. So what we'll do is record the vendor invoice number, whatever that might be, get the dates, and then the bill amount. Just for the intents and purposes of this, I'm going to go in and put it in as the actual amount of $750. We'll have everything line up and we'll reconcile it to 750, all as well. So then we create that. Okay, so now we have a $750 bill, which then gets communicated over to Workamajig. Okay, any questions on that so far?
Seems like everyone is
It's
catching it at
doing
this
good.
point. No questions.
Okay,
Yep.
great, great, great. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we are in here. Again, I'm gonna do the cooking show thing. Everything's all transitioned. We'll pretend that. You'll see here, this is one that where we've already created that vendor invoice. It's transmitted over. It just pops up here. So automatically you'll see you'll have this invoiced amount. You can click in here. If we go under vendor invoices, you'll see that this is that bill that we created in Bionic transitioned over. So that all carries through here. That's it. So with that, are there any questions?
We'll give a couple seconds here, but still no questions at this point.
Great. So yeah, just a quick rehash of all of this. You create your orders in Bionic, you approve them. In Workamajig, you'll release those orders and that will create the order. You've got the media plan, it'll create the orders when you release them. And then from there, once once you get into your reconciliation process, you'll do that in Bionic, create the bills, and the bills come back into Workamajig.
Okay,
Okay.
so we do have some questions coming in, Casey.
Yes.
First question from Jenny. How does the $750 invoice make it to Workamajig? Is
By creating that bill, so let me go
Mhm.
back over here. By creating this bill here, it just automatically transfers over. So it's just an automatic process. By saving, it's saying, okay, we've reconciled this, good to go, it transitions.
Great. And the other question, how much to install Workamajig?
How much to install Workamajig? So the integration itself is part of the Bionic subscription. In terms of how much does Workamajig cost, that would be a question for Workamajig.
Right. But for Bionic, it is included in your subscription. Yep. Thanks, Abigail, for that question. Lisa, yes. Thank you for joining us. We will be sharing this recording in a recap email once we have everything all set up. So rest assured, you will have a recording of anything you missed for this session. Okay, a couple more questions here. David from Workamajig actually just wanted us to click on the invoice number just to show the actual invoice in Workamajig.
Okay, so, well, I think that's where this is. Is that the,
Yeah, right there, right under work. Yep, that I think if you go under
I'm
WMJ
not as familiar as
industry,
Workamajig, so bear
yeah,
with me on that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
not linkable, so I'm
you
not
can
quite
so you
sure.
can just kind of click out, click off. Yeah, and then yep, there you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Yep,
There we go. Thank
there's
you,
the
David.
invoice.
Thank you, Pat.
Yep. All right. Let's see if the other questions here. Okay. Paula asked, how much does this integration lock down the accounting process in WMJ? Can we still make adjustments as needed in the project? And the answer is yes. The idea here is to really help you get the information you need from Bionic to Workamajig, but by all means, you can still work as your workflows are in Workamajig and make any edits as you want in
Yep.
Workamajig.
And what I'll say, Paula, just to note, as part of the normal operating process in Bionic, sometimes things change, right? You have an order that's been placed and what have you, something changes down the line. Part of the normal protocol for changes is that you revoke orders, you make the changes to the line items, and then you reapprove them. That reapproval process will trigger an update.
A couple more questions here. Let's see. Abigail also asked if we're not yet using the orders function, which I'm assuming in Bionic, will there be a workaround to Workamajig's function? Um, I believe at this point, the way we do trigger and transition the order from Bionic to Workamajig, you would have to utilize the orders function to get that data to flow through to Workamajig.
Yes.
Okay, and a question from Lorena, which is a great question, deals with setting up and configuring everything, but how
Mhm.
does Bionic link the vendors in Workamajig for existing vendors? And do we need to set up new vendors?
Okay, so there will be so in if you're familiar with Workamajig, you've got vendors, publications, clients, projects. In Workamajig, each of those have IDs tied to them. And so as part of your setup, there's a mapping process that will occur where you'll be able to establish, I'll think I should be able to do it right in here. You can establish these IDs. So we'll have a corresponding ID within, the vendors, the public, what we call programs, your advertisers, your campaigns. So you'll be putting in the corresponding IDs from Workamajig into Bionic to create that connection. And anywhere you are missing, say, a vendor or a publication or whatever, those can be created on one side or the other to make sure that there's alignment. And you can just pop in those IDs, it maps them and is what allows that communication.
Right. And Lorena also had another question, which I'll go ahead and answer. She did ask, what if the vendor invoice is more or less than the order amount for that month?
Oh,
Yep,
okay. Go ahead, Pat, if you
yep.
want to answer.
So this is a question more on the Workamajig side, but of course, working with David and kind of advising us on how that works on their side. They do recommend to set up an advance bill to basically get a deposit for the value. I think that's something if you have any representative to work with Workamajig to kind of get that workflow going, I think that'd be great to advise to get advice from them. But we have been recommended to kind of suggest the advance bill set up on the Workamajig side.
Yeah, and I will note here when you do bills or the bills in Bionic, these amounts can be whatever they need to be. So this is indicative of this amount in the service period is what you expected to pay based on the order, but things don't always happen as anticipated, right? There's maybe an overage of what was delivered or it was under delivered. And so your bill amount should reflect whatever you got invoiced from the vendor. That's how it will reconcile out. So that could be different than what you ordered.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Lorena. And we have one more from Jenny. Do Bionic and Workmanjig work together to set up the integration? Um, I believe it's a general question. If it is a general question,
Yeah.
yes, we did work together. Again, David is on this call as our partner, and we're both very excited from both sides to actually launch this. And it was definitely a collaboration to get this integration in place.
Yeah, exactly. So, building this integration was a team effort between Workamajig and Bionic. And so that part of it where we work together with in terms of, getting your instance set up in Bionic. Bionic staff will help you build out that integration, get all those moving pieces. And both Bionic and Workamajig work together. If there's any technical support issues that come up. Bionic can answer a number of them, but sometimes the Workamajig will need to get involved. We work together.
Mhm.
We have a
Yeah.
great team, great rapport.
Yep. We got one more question from Lorena, and then we'll keep going. On the
Yeah.
workmanship side, Casey, if you can go back
hmm
to the
Yep.
yep,
Yeah, everything should have come over by now. So let's
great. They do want to see
see.
the actual order. Um,
Oh, okay.
yep. So if you go
Um,
ahead and click on, let's say, the Southern
the
Living,
Southern
the planned
go into the
one,
plans. Thank you.
and
You'll have to help me with the navigation
yep,
in here.
and
I'm
then
not
just
as familiar.
move the scroll bar. Yep, you'll see the order right there, IO 1040 dash, and that is the order itself. Great.
Great.
Okay. Looks like we've answered all of the questions at this point. If you want to go ahead and send it back over to me, I'm just going to go ahead
Yeah,
and
I'll go ahead
share a
and
couple
stop
of
the share here.
resources. Thank you. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Casey, for that demo. Hopefully that was very useful for everyone to actually see how we now can automatically import orders and bills from Bionic to Workamajig. And we did do our Q&A session. So I do just want to give you guys a couple more resources in case you aren't aware of him. We do have a knowledge base that actually includes a user guide to integrating with Workamajig. I have the link here below for your reference. And we're also very excited that we actually just launched the Bionic Academy as well. This Bionic Academy is an online training program that has certifications related to media planning, media buying, and other sorts of certifications. We are also going to have a Workamajig course coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. The link is also here on this slide. And of course, if you have any further questions, we can be reached by email, reach us by phone, and we also have live chat available. So by any means, feel free if you have any further questions that comes up after the webinar or you rewatch it, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Great. Thank you so, so much for attending today. And we will be following up with follow-up email. I'll have the recording so that way you can access this at a later time if you need to, or share it off with others that may have missed.
Great, sounds good. And if we don't speak to you guys, have a happy holidays and happy new year.
Great. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.